600% profit on my Bitcoin position. And what's that? Like 200% profit on my TRX position. These are some of the biggest profits I've ever seen in my life. And bam, that's the fucking chart, ladies and gents. Four Flies couldn't be more right. We're going to dial down the cockiness just a little bit for the first couple of seconds while we break down exactly what's going on. Because if we take a look at this on the 1 minute time frame, Bitcoin has shot the fuck up. It's almost like every ETF and their grandmother have been approved, all just like that. In one moment right here on this Tuesday, we're seeing a rapid dump down. We actually hit a high up at $35,000, which if you've been watching us for a while, ladies and gents, and you would have had to been watching for a really long time, you'd know that these kind of big round numbers are some key levels that we like to watch on this YouTube channel. Guys, do me a favor and smash up those fucking likes. If you're making money off this analysis, if you're in these massive gains like I am, you already know the deal. I ripped this trade right here on Bybit. I ripped both of these trades off Bybit. You are going to get up to $30,000 in completely free trading capital when you sign up to Bybit using my link in the description down below. If you didn't do it yet, I don't know what the fuck you're on. You've missed massive trading opportunities. You wouldn't even need to trade with your own money, and any profits that you generate are yours to keep. That is with Bybit linked down below. CoinW goes a step further by giving you $50 just for opening a futures account. So you don't need to trade, you don't need to make a deposit, you just need to sign up using my link and open a futures account, and you will get $50 for free to trade with. Free money, do whatever the fuck you like with it. Take it, bro, while it's there. Amazing, amazing opportunities. BingX, another great alternative. We're going to get back to the market in just a sec. BingX actually allows you to trade traditional finance, but we don't really care about that right now because look at what's going on with Bitcoin right here. See, we were just struggling at the kind of 31.5k area, really not for particularly long. I've been watching this chart very closely throughout the course of today, and this is where things just really shot up. And we are now, if we zoom out, we are in the fucking money zone, ladies and gents. This is exactly what we were expecting because we knew that this 30k area of resistance was getting weaker. This is one of the number one key things that we were constantly talking about on the YouTube channel. This is one of the key ideas that we were exploring on the YouTube channel for a very long time together, simply because this has been holding Bitcoin back for a very long period of time. It acted as support for Bitcoin for a really long period of time, now resistance. And what we know about this range is that if we've been suppressed below it for so long, if we've been consolidating for 220 days, ladies and gents, and we've now seen that breakout, it's not going to be light. None of this takes us by surprise right here on the Four Flies YouTube channel. Those of you that have been subscribed, hitting up the like button, this is not surprising you. And so let's talk about what's coming next, because the really good news that I have for you guys is that if we start to zoom out and really take a look at the key price history we had before, because the thing that we need to keep in mind right now, ladies and gents, is that the only thing we can do to help understand how high Bitcoin might go, how low it might drop if it retraces, and so on and so forth, the only thing we can really do to establish that is if we look at the chart back in 2021 and 2022, because that's the only price history that we have. So if we go ahead and take a close look at this right here, and we just to refresh our minds, let's just do a quick, nice exercise. I actually really like doing this just to kind of refresh your mind, understand where the chart is. I'm just going to look for these kind of key reversal points where we start to see, some nice support hits, coupling up with some resistance levels, some of the key events, like this was Elon Musk's scam wick. I don't know if you guys remember this. You probably don't, because news is irrelevant in the market, and this news will be irrelevant in the market too. I don't know, there's probably some big headline. We can actually go ahead and check it out. That would be interesting right now. Cointelegraph. And actually what we can do is head on over to the Four Flies dashboard, refresh the page, and we're actually going to see some of the latest news headlines down at the bottom of the page right here. So we've got, let's see, we'll just wait for this banner to populate a little bit and go over to Cointelegraph. Obviously, this is not a particularly reliable news source anymore, but this is still something that I want to check out, just because it's interesting. So let's just go ahead and take a look at what Cointelegraph is showing. Bitcoin ETF to trigger massive demand from institutions. That's 8 hours ago. There's nothing really going on right now, by the looks of it. Yeah, BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF now listed on NASDAQ trade clearing firm. Okay, so that is an ETF approval by the looks of it. Exchange traded fund analyst said the addition was all part of a process of crypto ETF being listed and traded and a positive sign for ETF approval. Okay, so it's not been done. I haven't read this. I'm just looking at this for the first time with you guys. Yeah, so it's a lot of bullish news though, that's for sure. This one is not super bullish. Oh no, this is just a decoded piece. Not super relevant though. What we do know is that the Binance shorters, the Binance retail traders were majority short, and we already know the deal. If you're trading on Binance, you're probably a worse trader. If you're trading on Bybit, you're probably a better trader. I literally said this in my last video. That video went up like 3 hours ago, so bite me. This is just how it works, ladies and gents. I already told you this, so definitely check it out. I don't know what it is. It's just a good omen. Bybit is the place to be. It's where every solid good trader that I know is. It's where all the best traders that I know are as well. I don't see that as a coincidence. I must make it clear that if your country has banned derivatives exchanges, you won't be able to access any of these. You'll be IP blocked. You won't be able to pass KYC and stuff like that. So don't bother. But if you're in a country where you can use these things, then definitely do check it out. It is well worth considering. Let's bring it back to the chart here though, because what we can do is just kind of start to place some of these resistance lines on the chart, and I'm just kind of looking for where these key bounce zones were. It's actually not super easy. Let's zoom in onto the 8-hour time frame and then take a slightly closer look at some of the key bounces. Yeah, so this is definitely an important line, this yellow one right here. We're going to change this and make this yellow as well. We don't need any orange lines up here. And yeah, I'm seeing another kind of resistance level over here. We're going to be super quick with this. This doesn't actually take time. People are like, how long does it take to do TA? How long did this take me? Collectively, like 20 seconds. And I'm basically done. Like, there isn't actually much left, unless we want to start getting kind of weird with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove some of these lines. And this is really all we're playing with, to be honest, guys. I mean, we could probably drop another one right here as support, but this is really all we're playing with. And yeah, so we broke up, and this is, and you can see this so beautifully the way it plays out. I mean, it's more or less right when we set this high. We already knew that this was an important level at 31.5. We had it outlined because this was indeed the previous high that Bitcoin set. So we were just talking about it in the last video. Just go back, you can go back and watch that video. You can see that these are all things that we were very well aware of. As soon as we blast through that level, and it really is as soon as we blast through that level, that Bitcoin really starts to see that big jump to the upside. So this is fantastic. This is Bitcoin behaving exactly the way we want. My only concern, and I say this all the time when the market becomes very exuberant and overextended, my only concern here, ladies and gents, is that we are potentially looking at a situation now where we have risen up too much, too quickly. Now, here's the thing, and we do, this does actually require a discussion, because on one side, if you rise up too quickly without really establishing any resistance, which is exactly what happened here, you are potentially going to start finding yourself in trouble. You are potentially going to start finding yourself in a position where actually the market needs to correct, because this is just too much, and you just need to reel it in. I mean, you need to either pause by trading sideways or correct by trading downwards, but something like that needs to happen. So we know this is fair. Now, where this becomes complicated, and what you're probably not going to hear from a lot of people, when you start looking at the analysis on Twitter and Telegram and all that, is that we just came out of a 220-day period of consolidation. So, that really does change things a little bit. That is an important factor. We're actually just going to clear up this chart now, because a lot of these levels don't matter anymore. So fuck me, this is such a massive relief. I can finally change my chart a little bit. Like, this is my main chart and I can finally do something with it. When you've just come out of, a tight range like this, you've spent so long here, depending on how you measure it, but it is like 7-8 months here. And especially within an uptrend, like, these are strong signs that the breakout will be strong. So when you consider it that way, the question of, well, will Bitcoin drop back down becomes a little bit more complex. Like, yes, I understand it's actually very obvious that Bitcoin should retrace, but with this kind of consolidation, well, yes, obviously Bitcoin will retrace eventually, Bitcoin will pull back eventually, but from what level? Is it going to be a retracement where we get up to 35K and then we only come down to 31.5? Because I know that a lot of people now are actually going to be fishing for this $30,000 box. Everyone's going to be interested in $30,000 because it's a nice round number. Are we going to get that? And this is where I think things get really interesting. Now, eventually, I think, retracements are a given. I think they're pretty obvious. It's just that, you don't always get what you want. I want to remind you guys, especially those of you that were doubting me when we were down here and I was calling for, guys, look, I did say I'm going to dial it down a little bit. We're going to dial it back up just for a second here. Fucking $17,000. I need you to write it in the comment section right now. I love you, 𝗬𝗙𝗧𝗓. You can go a little bit further with it, get sexual with it if you like, I don't mind. But I need you to write it down in the comments. I love you, 𝗬𝗙𝗧𝗓. If you remember, that down at 17K, I was fucking scared telling you guys that I see 30K. I told you I see that confidently, and I told you that I maybe even see 40K. And I said, I kept saying that. It was hard for me to say publicly to say that shit down when the market's down that low. That was hard. That was a really scary position. But back then when I was calling for 30K and 40K, when I was getting ready to load up my long positions, which now, I mean, by the way, I entered this Bitcoin trade with $100,000 just over, and that is now at 200K in profit, which is absolutely fantastic. I've already secured profits beautifully on it. I've got my stop loss in a guaranteed profit, which is very, very cool. Focus. There we go. Tron right there. Let me just scroll down to Tron. Also, that was a smaller trade. It's an altcoin, so I'm not going too heavy in them. But also stop loss. I'm sorry guys, I really can't angle my phone properly. Stop loss also in a profit there. Super happy with that. All working really, really well. With these kind of things, what I'm looking at now is actually probably taking some profit. Do I want to trade on video? Not really, but it is definitely tempting. I might just take a little bit of profit off the table now. Fuck it, I kind of have to. Let's be honest. I'm just gonna. So Bybit has this really cool feature where you can actually you can open up your position. You can tap close buy. By the way, Bybit has a debit card. I made a really interesting purchase with my Bybit debit card 2-3 days ago. I'll talk about it soon. But what we can do is just go down to the close buy button. Let me make sure that's all focused for you guys. And then I'm just gonna select 10%. I can't believe I'm doing this correctly on camera. And then what happens? Oh my god, I can't. Guys, this is so much harder than it looks. And then it actually will tell you the expected profit that you're gonna have, and it will automatically calculate 10% of the remaining amount in the position. So all of this is it's super easy. I mean, this whole position, to close it, to take profit, is 3 taps and I'm done. That's already filled. So really, really easy, user friendly. I mean, this is on an iPhone app. You've got the iPhone app, Android app. Well worth checking out, guys. Again, with $30,000 for free. Super, super cool offer. I do want to take some profits, but what I do want to remind you guys about is if we do come back down to the $17,000 level, where we were kind of trading sideways right after the FTX collapse, one of the things that really was a widespread opinion, to be honest, in the market. Can you get the AC, please? Was we actually, a lot of people were looking at the $12,000 range. A lot of people were kind of hoping that Bitcoin would drop down to here, even $14,000. A lot of people were looking for this, and we didn't quite get it, and this is something that I want to remind you guys about, just to ground yourself. Does this mean that we're not going to retrace back down to 30K? And I think a lot of people are going to be asking questions like that. No, not necessarily. But a lot of the time when these kind of breakouts happen, you do have to wait for that retracement, whether it's a matter of days or weeks or even months. They do come a lot of the time, but it takes time. It takes a lot of time. And that's something which I think is really important, just to kind of manage expectations, because what a lot of people find in situations like this is that they're waiting for the retracement, and in doing so, they're not deploying their capital now while the market is hot. I literally said this in the last video. Now is when the market is hot. Now is when you want to get these free trading bonuses. I mean, not now. You wanted to have them a few weeks ago, ideally, but you take what you get. You want to kind of save yourself to re-enter at these nice levels, but you're not deploying your market where it can actually work. You're not deploying your money where it can actually work for you, and then you're missing every train that comes by. It's a really painful position to be in, and one of the reasons for it, I know that there's a lot of price action shit going on, but this is why I'm blowing up my face cam right now and talking to you one-to-one, because this is way more important than the price. I promise you, this is way more important than the price. Ladies and gents, write this shit down. Get your fucking notepad out right now and write this shit down. When you are trading, write this down word for word. I'm serious. Pause the video right now. Grab your fucking notepad and come back. When you're trading and you're in a position, you pay in 2 ways, okay? If your trade goes well or if your trade goes poorly, you pay in 2 ways. Your capital loss or your capital appreciation, and your psychological capital, okay? Now, nobody knows what psychological capital is until they are a seasoned trader that's been fucked completely multiple times over and then became a successful trader. You will never know what this is until you've gone through the cycle. What is psychological capital? Everyone understands this. You either make money or you lose money. What is psychological capital? Psychological capital is being the dumb cunt that's been holding XRP since 2017 for 5-6 fucking years, missing every opportunity in between, and tilting your mindset, tilting your psychology, fucking your psychology up to the point where you can no longer make good decisions because you feel like you've missed out. You're feeling that fear of missing out. You're feeling like a loser. You're feeling like a bad decision maker. You're feeling like you have to rush into the next positions because you missed out on the previous 5 or 6. That is psychological capital. Ladies and gents, with your notepad still, write this down. Whatever cost you pay with your trading, you will pay a bigger cost with your psychological capital. If you don't protect that, that's going to put you in a lot of trouble. It's why when you go through things like the 𝗬𝗢𝗥𝗙𝗚𝗓 Academy, which you can access by following these steps on screen, one of the first things that we actually cover is how to not lose your money. It is how to actually safeguard your capital. It's the first lesson. It's the most important lesson. Those of you that have gone ahead and followed these very quick steps with Bybit, if you're registered with Bybit and you get my free trading package where I cover key psychological lessons I've learned as a trader, this is like everything that I live by as a trader. It's the reason I was able to make these 2 beautiful trades that I've just shown you today as well. It really is extremely powerful. But this is important. We come back to the chart here. A lot of people are looking for these nice numbers that, it just seems super obvious. 9K, 8K, 6K, 12K, 14, whatever the fuck you like. It ain't happening. We fell down to 15.5. Who the fuck said 15.5 would be the bottom? I sure as hell didn't. I didn't even comment. We got down there and I was like, I don't know. Because I didn't know. And that was it. And that's really important because a lot of the time you're not going to know and you don't need to. What you need to be able to do is identify these obvious situations here where we know that we're testing our resistance consistently. It's getting weaker. We're probably getting close to that breakout. What comes next? Now let's talk about this. This is the real fun part. We've already hit this round 35K. This is actually 35K. We'll put a line right there. Very round 35K, by the way. If we actually look at the OHLC, look at the top, it's $35,000 to the cent, down to the dollar, not even down to the dollar, down to the cent, 35K on the dot. Heavy sell orders right there, obviously. But Bitcoin did punch up right through there. And by the way, I think it's important to understand why. I always talk to you guys about it's obvious we're going to get the big pump after 30K. But why? Now, again, if you're subscribed, you would have already known about this. But really what's happening here is we've got the 30K ceiling right here. There's a lot of Bitcoins being sold. We've talked about this a lot. There's a lot of Bitcoins being sold. As soon as, let's say there's like 3,000 BTC that wants to be sold up here. Maybe not all at the same time. Maybe the price drops down and then some new orders come in. But overall, the idea is that there are 3,000 Bitcoins that want to be sold up here. Now, every time you hit that, you've got like 2.2K left. Now you've got 1.8K. Now you've got 1.3. Now you've got 800. Now you've got 200. Now you've got 100 Bitcoins left. When that ceiling breaks, there are no more sell orders above, but you've still got that same demand pushing this shit higher. And that's why, when you've got no sell orders, that's why the market just fucking sends. That's why there's just a full send in the market. It's really important to know when this is happening because what we could be seeing right now could be what happened here. Because if you actually, and it's really interesting because if you look at the volume, we don't have enormous volume right now. In fact, the volume that Bitcoin printed during the run up out of the 17K range was higher than the volume we're printing today. Okay, let's stay very realistic, ladies and gents. We had more volume back at the very beginning of this year when Bitcoin was breaking above the 20K level. We had more volume back then than we do on the single biggest breakout that Bitcoin has ever had in its history. As far as I'm concerned, this is it. This is the single biggest breakout Bitcoin has ever had in its history. We've got less volume today. And the reason that this is really important to help us kind of understand how realistic is this? Will the market actually stick to it? Is that when we had this situation in the market back here with also very little volume, but the market just catapulting, rising higher and higher and higher. Those of you that were watching this channel back then, mainly October of 2021, you're going to remember I was actually kind of confused by this rally. It wasn't making sense to me because we weren't getting people buying. We just had an absence of sellers. And that's a really important distinction, ladies and gents, because if the market is shooting up because nobody is selling, then you don't really need that many buyers, right? If there's only $10 worth of buying volume, but only $1 worth of selling volume, that doesn't really mean the market is bullish. It just means that there's no selling pressure yet. Yet is the key word. Now, as soon as that selling pressure comes in at these highs, you get absolutely decimated. Look at how much volume it took Bitcoin to break down from its all-time high. To break down from its all-time, it's not even a significant volume candle. Now, of course, you're going to see different volume candles reported from different exchanges, and there's a lot of foul play going on over here. But if we take a look at what we saw back in 2017 as an example, this is very, very different. It's actually one of the biggest volume candles that Bitcoin ever saw, coming off the back of the highs at the 2017 bull run that took Bitcoin up to 20K for the first time. This is very, very different price action to what I've just shown you up in the $69,000 price range. And that is really, really important because we're printing similar price action right now. Okay, next question. How concerned do we need to be about this? Is this actually that concerning? Is this actually very scary? Well, yes and no. The reason I'm not too worried about this is because it's a dead market. There's just not many people in the market to begin with. So, I don't have high expectations, okay? It's like you've got, a really dumb puppy and he's just like making a bunch of stupid mistakes, but you're not gonna fault him because what do you expect? Give him a chance, and that's how I feel about this market here. That's the classic bad analogy of the day. That's how I feel about this market right now. I mean, what are you gonna do? The market's shit. It's been shit for fucking 220 days. We're not expecting sky high volume to jump back into the market, but equally, does this mean that Bitcoin has actually faced super high selling pressure after we broke the 30K level? Not really. But I think what's really important is that we might not actually get that heavy selling pressure until we go way higher. One thing you've got to consider, one thing you've got to ask yourself is, if Bitcoin consolidates for 220 days and revisits the lows dramatically, not gently, not with a soft landing, fucking dramatically, scary, okay, especially the second time, if Bitcoin does that, it really tries to push to the downside and it can't, then you've got to start asking the question, who's left in the market holding these Bitcoins? Are they people with so-called paper hands, or are they people with so-called diamond hands? And that's a really important question. First of all, what does that mean? It's just meme talk, okay? If you've got paper hands, you're scared, you sell quickly, you're emotional. If you've got diamond hands, you got hard hands, you're not selling. And if you've been through this bear market, if you've sat through the horrors of 2022, I'm not trying to give you these bullshit pep talks that crypto traders give you to get likes and followers, that's not this. But if you've been through all of that stuff and you've suffered the big drop and you've gone through this massive, disgusting crypto winter and you're still around, then are you really going to sell your Bitcoin on the first breakout above this resistance level? Do you know what I mean? And that's why I think that the price has actually pumped up really high. There is the question of, are we looking at a bull trap deviation? And let's not forget about that. Okay, that is really important because I think a lot of people right now are not going to be seeing this coming if we see a big bull trap. And don't worry about it. I got you covered. We're actually going to be making a video on that very soon. You're going to see a video on that later on today. So double check that you're subscribed. Double check that you've ticked the bell icon because this is extremely time sensitive content. We are going to be talking about that. If that happens, that will be the mother of all trading opportunities, by the way, but we'll talk about that later. Like I said, you can get yourself set up with all these links down below. You're already fucking late, ladies and gents, if you haven't done it yet, but this is only the beginning. It's definitely not going to cool off anytime soon. I think I might be wrong, but I don't see this cooling off anytime soon at all. Like I said, I think, given all of these factors that are present, just a more kind of fundamental approach of okay, who's still in the market? How fucking crazy for Bitcoin must you be to have not sold at this point? You know what I mean? You must be fucking wired, bro. You must be absolutely different in your brain. I know because I am. And so it's not you're not gonna part with your Bitcoin. I mean, you've sat through all of this shit. You're not gonna part with your Bitcoin on the first breakout. You know what I mean? I think that's why we're seeing such a big breakout here. And again, it's just up to these next resistance levels. Now, I like to actually visualize this market in terms of zones. And so what I want to do is show you what those zones look like. We've already got one zone right here with this set of yellow lines. I'm actually just going to go ahead and draw a nice green box to represent that. And then what we're going to do, just to make life easy, is we're going to delete these lines. Actually, we'll keep these lines. But what we're going to do is make them dotted. Just because I think that this really helps us kind of visualize what we're actually working with here. The next box that I'm going to draw is probably going to stretch something a little bit like this. We're looking at more or less kind of 33K up to about 41. Okay, and that's because this is more or less where Bitcoin was setting its highs. This is, take a look at this. This is where we were seeing, nice spikes of resistance. We got big retests of support. Look at this big. I mean, this was the death rally for Bitcoin, the death drop for Bitcoin. When we pumped, when we dropped down to $40,000, this was where things got really, this is where Bitcoin finally found a little bit of support. We found some more resistance, some more consolidation. This is clearly the top of the range. I think that's very clear. I mean, this was where Bitcoin ended its first big pump after the rally above 20K. By the way, traded this too. But I think that this profit right now, percentage-wise, is actually the biggest profit I've ever had in my life as a trader. It probably is. I've had very big numbers similar to this, but like honestly, when you cross like 200-300%, you kind of forget because, I mean, first of all, it becomes standard procedure if you're 𝗬𝗢𝗡, but also it's just, the numbers are just so fucking inconceivable to your brain, that you don't really get it. But I think the bottom of the range, it's very fair to say that it's going to be around here at about 34, 33. We were saying this before. If you were watching the channel before, this isn't going to take you by surprise. I'm going to go ahead and drop a couple more dotted lines right here. And the reason I'm saying this is if you just kind of look at the key candle closes, candle opens, I mean, this is where we got some of this action. We had this nice wick right here. We had a little bit of resistance along this line. It's clearly an important level in the market. We consolidated right on this line. If we took the VPVR, we would see the same thing as well, by the way. If I go ahead and show you what this looks like, we're actually going to take the VPVR indicator. If you don't know what this is, do me a favor and type this into the YouTube search bar and then come back. But yeah, if we take a look at the VPVR, it's not great. It doesn't make it super obvious. Let's see if it. Yeah, I mean, we have a little bit of a spike here. I think the other price action makes it very hard to visualize this because there's so much shit going on above. But you do see a spike here, which is very, very clear. So I would define this as the bottom of the range. And again, we kind of paint where we are right now. Obviously, this chart has not updated yet, but Bitcoin is sitting at 1 second, 33. So I mean, it's moving very quickly. But we're Bitcoin basically did this. But this is where Bitcoin is right now. So we more or less got rejected off this range. We've kind of fallen out of it. The question of how high can Bitcoin go? I think to the top of the range. I think $41,000. That's why it was the thumbnail of the previous video. But now, I mean, we can actually start to get a little bit more excited with this. Not because it's fun, but because this is actually, a really fucking big deal, especially if Bitcoin can keep this. This happened on a Monday, by the way. So, I mean, what a fucking way to start the trading week, on a day, by the way, where the dollar is just not looking great. I mean, and we know this. The dollar is going to be trading for 24 hours every day until the weekend now, and it is just not in a good place right now. I mean, the dollar is weak, and this is the this is the setup that we're seeing, and this is the thing, is like if the dollar, and I covered this in the last video, if you haven't seen it, just make sure you are subscribed. When the dollar is setting a low, it's not necessarily going to come back for support and then bounce up. If it revisits that low, it's probably going to tumble lower. That's just, what I've seen in my experience. It doesn't have to be that way, but it would make a lot of sense. And, if we go back to that BLX chart right now, I mean, it's a really good setup for Bitcoin to actually just fucking full send again, right to the top of the range. And if we actually use this line to kind of extrapolate what a potential target would be, we can actually bring this up to the breakout point, and we're now getting a printed target of $46,000. But I mean, this can just get so much more insane. And I want to give you an example of what that would potentially look like. I mean, we've got a couple examples of, here's something that I didn't show you from the last video. This was actually part of the notes that I had, but I just didn't get around to it. We've actually started to develop a bullish MACD setup right here, and we've seen some crazy shit coming off it. If we look at these lines crossing bullish, we had the blue line going above the orange line over here. It happened over here. You can't really see these. It's too zoomed in. I'm sorry, it's too zoomed out. But let me just hide my camera so you can see these. And we are like right on the cusp of it right now. I don't know if I can zoom in. I can't really zoom in to show it to you, unfortunately. But I mean, you just gotta squint. You can kind of tell the blue line is curving up. It's about to cross above that orange line. So, I mean, back in 2019, that was a 300% move. Back in 2020, that was a 660% move. I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous. It is just absolutely insane. If we extrapolate this to look at some of the potential targets for Bitcoin, just fairly conservative, kind of in the middle of what we saw before, even less than that. We're not looking at anything amazing, anything huge. We are still looking at Bitcoin, and we only need to pump up by 235%. Now, I know, again, this is sounding really crazy and stuff like that, and that's off where we start. That's off like hours ago. Like, Bitcoin is literally thousands of dollars higher than that right now. It's a little bit closer. You know, and Bitcoin doesn't even need to do the smallest gain, you know, that I've got printed for you on this chart here. Now, I want to make it clear with you, MACD crosses happen a lot. This is not the most reliable indicator, but this really helps to put into perspective how we've done crazy shit like this before, and for Bitcoin to pull off that big 100K target, it's not as far away as you might think when you consider these massive areas on the chart, when you consider these massive flashes of potential bullish crosses here. So really big stuff here, ladies and gents, that we could be looking at. Very clear path to that potential $100,000 Bitcoin if Bitcoin continues on this path. But the first thing that we need to do is we need to get in this green box. We're not in this green box yet. Again, like I said, this particular chart, BLX, has not updated yet, but you know, we've done more or less something a little bit like this. We need to confidently be in here, you know, and obviously rise to the top of the range. Once we can rise above this range, we can start looking at the next, we can start looking at the next ranges. Let's take a little bit of a deep dive into what that looks like. You know, that is going to be, for me, you know, somewhere probably like around here. I think this is a really nice look at that range. Yeah, and these are all numbers that we're very familiar with if you've been watching me for a while. We've got $46,000 over here. I mean, clear resistance over here. Very obvious, clear support. We set an all-time high, and where do we bounce off? Like exactly this level. So very important level. I mean, you know, the market crashed down horrifically back in 2022. Where did it stop? Right here. Triggered a rally. Where did it end? Right here. You know, so the top of this range, also very important, clear resistance. We set an all-time high at this level. I mean, you know, this is a critical level for the market. You know, kind of stretching between 46,000 and 52,000. This is a really good way, ladies and gents, in my opinion, to visualize the key levels in this market. So let me just go ahead and stretch this out, because this is going to be the main chart that I use to demonstrate the very long-term potential for Bitcoin here. So I do want to make sure that we all kind of get used to this chart, get comfortable with this chart, and everything in between these gaps. These are the empty ranges where it should be very easy for Bitcoin to just rocket up, and you can see that very clearly. Again, it's the same thing that I was telling you about with that kind of supply demand, you know, stealing analogy I was giving you. Where, you know, I mean, you can see the first time Bitcoin ever pumped above this box, it was just a full send. In the first day, it was just absolutely crazy. When we dropped below it, it was very quick to drop down. When we went above it again, very quick to get back up. When we dropped below it, very quick to get down. When we bounced off it properly, both times, very quick, you know, to just bridge this entire range. So, you know, I mean, very clear. There are anomalies, but very clearly, you know, when you lose the support, you're going down. When you bounce off, you're going close to the top or to the top. We've seen this play out so many times. These are where the easiest trades can be made, you know, because they're just such easily predictable ranges. These are, you know, really the best trade setups for me. These are the trade setups that I like to do the most. I think one of the things that, you know, people don't really understand, but that I, you know, really preach is that as a trader, I always try and make my life as easy as possible. You know, a lot of other people, they try and do this shit on steroids and just do a bunch of crazy shit, but that's not my approach. My life is not trading only. I have a fucking life outside of this shit, and I trade as a means to an end. I don't trade because, you know, whatever, I just want to trade. Like, no, I trade to make money like a fucking normal person. You know, I don't care about it other than for making money. You know, so why would I want to make my life difficult? Why would I want to do weird things and, you know, just take fringe strategies? It's just not necessary. So, you know, I'm always kind of looking for these easy ranges to make money, and that's where I'm seeing that potential. So, you know, it was very easy to cross this range. This whole big box, I know it's not that helpful, it's a $7,000 range, but this whole big box is where I'd start to expect a little bit of resistance for Bitcoin. You know, and if we do dive in a little bit closer, the next key resistance block that I'm going to see is, well, the next key resistance block is where we stopped, you know, to be very clear. That's because it's a round level, it's a round area, the 35K area, but also because there was a lot of consolidation here. We already looked at the VPVR and we could see a lot of clear, you know, kind of consolidation and resistance in this range. So this is the clear block for resistance that, you know, we kind of have to break for Bitcoin. But it's the same as before. You know, you break the block and then the ceiling is like the boss fight. You know, like you've beat all the little minions in the block, and it's not hard to do that. It's not easy to do that either. But then you get to the top and now you're fighting the queen. You killed all the pawns, you killed all the rooks, the horses, whatever, but now you've got the queen, and the queen is not easy. So these boss level resistance areas are definitely something to keep an eye on. But again, like when you've crossed this one, 37k up to 41, there's nothing. Like it's just an empty gap. This is another really easy trade setup. Again, to have the free capital that these exchanges give you to trade, it is so immensely valuable right now. Again, like what are you doing if you don't have it yet? I mean, it's free for you. It's available. So definitely do check it out. If, by the way, you're ever having issues with it, if it doesn't credit, or sometimes it can take a little bit of time, up to a couple of days. But if you have any issues with it, please just message me directly on Telegram. I have links to all of the high up like representatives of these exchanges, and I can just forward your case on. And this applies to anything, by the way. Like if I've referred you to an exchange, and if you've used my link to sign up, and you ever have an issue, I don't care what the issue is, I want you to come to me. I want you to message me directly, and I will do my best to sort it out for you. We've actually been very successful in solving issues for people. There aren't many issues that come up realistically. It's actually very rare, but when it does happen, we've been very successful at solving that. So please, you're not alone. I'm here for you. Every one of you can message me by following this link right here. This is also how you ask me how to join VIP, so you can watch all of my trades in real time. I'm super happy with the performance on these trades. Really going very, very well. I can't say this is exactly what I expected in terms of the trade performance. I certainly didn't think it would be bad. I certainly did know that, did expect them to make a lot of money, but this has done, quite well, even beyond my expectations. So I'm very happy with that. Obviously, this is the reason that we manage our risk very carefully on trades. This is just not something you're going to understand if you haven't really had skin in the game for a long time. But it's also like, do you really want to learn this? Like when the money making opportunities are happening right now, like do you really want to blunder these opportunities? Do you really want to pass up on them just because you haven't learned yet? Because that's the position that a lot of people find themselves in, and that's why the VIP package, the Academy course, the combination, getting the Academy for free when you join VIP. That's why it's actually so powerful, because, you will eventually, if you're dedicated enough and if you are willing to lose enough money, you will learn the things that I'm teaching you about. But it's like, at what cost? You've already missed so many opportunities to make money, where instead of fucking up and tripping over, you could have actually been making money. That's a kind of painful proposition to think about. To pay your way through these things, has actually been a really good idea for a lot of people. Certainly was a good idea for me when I was starting out, because I did the same thing. So if you do want to kind of see what the offers were looking like, then definitely, reach out by following these steps on screen. We are launching a 50% discount. So if you want to get it in for half price, then now's your time. You made it to the end of the video, so that's how you found out. Guys, big long video here. Smash up those likes if you did enjoy it. Let me know by writing that comment down below. I love you, 𝗤𝗙𝗧𝗍. If you remember that $17,000 analysis I was giving you guys when I was looking for that 30k, 40k range, I do appreciate all of the beautiful support. I'm right here with you guys all through the waves and troughs of this market. Let's fucking get it, legends. See you in the next one.